Hello, everyone, and welcome back to No Name Gaming. I am Ace, Ruby Cat with us, Manuel with us tonight. Luis, unfortunately, and Jay couldn't be with us tonight, but we're still excited to talk about the stuff that we always talk about and some new stuff that's coming up. How is everybody doing today? Ruby Cat, how are you doing this week?
I mean, I'm very hurt from the Super Bowl still. I'm feeling it. But otherwise, everything's fantastic in life. So great.
That's good to hear. The second part is good to hear. The first part, I mean, I don't have a anything on that race there, but it's always unfortunate when the Magic lose. I always have a hard time. So let's see. They don't even make the playoffs, so it's not compared to that. But I mean, just making it to where they made it is a huge deal. Uh, Obviously deserved whoever won. I didn't watch it. We'll talk about it. You guys will talk about it. But Manoj, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Still getting adjusted to the new job. Still getting adjusted to working. Basically, I'm working 7 days a week, between my two jobs and church and stuff like that. But I did want to say something starting off. I probably should wait till later, but I want to say something real quick. When I opened up the Twitch to, as I always do, I open up Twitch and I open up Discord and I get ready for us to get online or whatever. And Twitch shows you, whatever's going on the main page. And the first thing I saw was some guy, playing Call of Duty or whatever. I was curious. I just clicked on it or whatever. And basically, like I couldn't stand it for more than like a minute or so because he's just basically just sitting there eating. Like, and you're hearing all the sounds of the food in his mouth through the microphone and just watching a Call of Duty game. And I'm like, man, that stream right now has like 300 people watching right now. And I'm like, man, and this is not to toot our own horn or anything, but I feel like the stuff that we do here is of a higher quality. Like we're really putting in the work, looking for news articles and trying to figure out fun things to do, trying to invite people over. So I'm just saying all this to say, if this guy can get 300 views concurrently right now, you can share this with somebody and get us to at least 4 or 5 views. Like do something for the crew over here. We're doing our best, trying to make an awesome podcast for everybody. So yeah, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say that off the bat.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I was the stuff that you see when you log in to Twitch. Just I don't know. What kind of content? Like, there's some good stuff in there, but it's kind of like tucked away, and then the main stuff that you see is kind of just like odd with things like that. But algorithms and whatnot, it is what it is. We'll
Yeah,
still do this. We have a good
as
time
long
with
as we
it.
can.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I was talking actually to someone at work where she was going on about she was starting a page for her art and whatnot, and she was like, "Yeah, I only have this many," and I'm like, "Yeah, we've been stuck at like this many for a while, but like I do it for me." So like, it's awesome to
Yeah.
get, obviously awesome to get and people joining in the conversation and whatnot, but I just still have fun with it.
And also, we gotta be realistic. Like, we're not also like streaming every day to try to pull up those numbers or anything. So we gotta be realistic. What we have is what we're working for, basically. Like, we're getting you reap what you sow. We gotta admit that at least. So
That's true. Also, I've been trying, man, but it's like it's always something. Like I'm like, okay, this week I got this days. I'm gonna go and do that. It's always something.
yeah,
I'm,
it's just like the people that do it just make that decision to just do it, right? They're like, okay, I'm gonna go all in, and I don't think streaming and influencers and stuff like that can be part time. Like, I just don't think it works. And all of us are part time because we have our own lives and our own jobs. So that's just the nature of the business, basically.
that's true. But like I said, when you said it yourself, like we'll still come in here and have fun because we enjoy it and stuff like that. I am as how I am sick of being tired of being sick. But what I'm not sick and tired of is being here with you guys. So we'll get through it and we'll have a good time as always. And in order to get that started with that, what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and talk about the no name news with Manuel. Manuel, what kind of news you have for us this week?
All right, so I got a couple of ones for you guys. Let's start with the sad one first of all. Carl Weathers died at 76. Um, Most known for me, at least, for the Rocky movies, Rocky Balboa movies and stuff like that. But obviously, he's done so much more stuff before and after that. Most recently, he's in Star Wars or he was always in Star Wars, right? But he reprised his role in Star Wars recently. So yeah, it's pretty sad. 76, but he, like, as I always say, when it comes to this type of stuff, it's always sad when somebody like that dies. But when you look at his career and you look at the impact that he's had, you're like, yeah, he lived a full life, and it's cool to celebrate that, right? When that type of person passes away. So yeah, that's the first one I got. Um, the second one that I got, also kind of sad. 90 according to a recent survey, 95% of game studios are either working on currently or plan to work on soon live service games. So that's the state of the industry right now. So that's on the heels of games like Suicide Squad and stuff like that, which have been failures, and we know that people just don't want this. And yet the studios continue to double down on this. Like, I wonder how many of those studios are working on this stuff because they started working on it when the fad started, right? And now they can't really move away from it. But man, that's just not, for us especially, it's not the place where we want the industry to be. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I don't think I think I'm with you. No, I mean, as far as us, I'd say nobody wants that. I think it's a pretty big sentiment lately with gamers as a whole, though. Like you get into the forums or whatnot, Twitter, and you see a lot of it. I know it's like an echo Twitter, Reddit, it's like an echo chamber of like the loud minorities, but I think we're all in this one here because it's trying to just keep pulling money, and if you had something of actual value to offer with that wouldn't be a problem. Like, say, a company puts out a game, a couple of years down the line they put another game in. We're talking about $70 there. Then would you think about like Destiny? How many times in a year, for example, as an example, how many times in a year you put $70 to whatever the next thing is, and then how's the content in that? If you got sufficient content, then you're good with that. But in a game like that's comes out looking, I don't know if you guys saw the comparisons between like the Arkham games visually and this game, and I'm like, what happened? And that's been a trend too. Like I'll talk about it a little bit later on in a couple of games that I tried out this week. It's the same trend. It's like, are we going backwards just because you're trying to stretch out, make the most money? So you're giving like low quality things just to try to get your money. Is that what you're doing? And then, like you always mention, it's time for us to speak with our wallets there.
Yeah, go ahead, Rubicon. You can say you're on mute.
I am on mute. There's something sinister about all this, right? Because if you see like the trend of us, like when social media started, when we started getting all these devices, iPhones, iPads, you name it, now the whatever goggles from Apple or whatever, like we humans tend to get addictive to these things, right? And I think like with this microtransactions like kind of games, I think it's like a similar thing. Like they cut out to that, so like we're so used to getting content like everywhere at once that could turn into an addiction. And if you make a game that's half decent and you get invested and then suddenly you get all these transactions, of course it's gonna get like your money out of you fairly quick. It's like there is that component there. So I'm really not happy about it.
Yeah, and the thing about that is though, like there's only so much space for that in the market. That's what these people are understanding. Like you, if everybody's making a live service game, then everybody can't play those live service games. We just can't do it because live service is an investment for people, right? You're investing long term, hoping that they're going to continue to give you content and stuff like that. So if I'm invested in Call of Duty, I can't be invested in anything else. Like it has to be Call of Duty. If I'm invested in Destiny, if I'm invested in whatever, you just can't do it. So I don't understand like where's the money sense in that? Like how do they think they're making money? They're gonna make profit off of this, and we've seen it. It's just not working. Suicide Squad didn't work. Anthem didn't work. The Last of Us online thing, got scrapped. Like we've seen that they're continuing to fail. So it's not like people are succeeding in this. So I don't understand how they're insisting on doing something that can't be profitable for everybody. It's just impossible to be profitable for everybody. It's too saturated. The market's too saturated for that. So yeah, that's it's a shame. It's a shame. Here's hoping that they're not sacrificing other types of games for this, right? So hopefully they're doing this, but they're also doing what we want, which is other types of games, single players and all that stuff like that. All right, so continuing on this negative trend, Xbox is having a heck of a year already, and we're only in February. So I don't know if you guys have seen all of the controversy in these past 2 weeks about with Xbox, all these rumors coming out, and basically the rumors are Xbox going third party. Basically, they're rumors that they're gonna start with what's the game Hi-Fi Rush, gonna put it out on other consoles, and then other rumors came on like the Gears of War series might come to PlayStation, and in the future maybe Halo might come to PlayStation. It's like they're basically going third party. Those are the rumors, right? Obviously, some of those rumors seem more likely than others. I don't see a world where Halo is on PlayStation, but who knows, right? Who knows what might happen. But the thing about it is, all these rumors happen. People are angry. People are criticizing Xbox. They feel abandoned. Like why we would invest in Xbox if you're just gonna put your games on other platforms and whatnot. And then Phil Spencer comes out in the midst of all this, and he tweets out, "Hey, we hear you. We know what's going on. We'll talk about it in the future." It's like, that's
That's
your
not appeasing
response?
at all.
Yeah, like your response can't be if everything is burning up around you, crashing and falling, why don't you put out something that says, "Yes, we're doing this. No, we're not doing this. Don't worry." But to say, "Hey, we'll address it in the future," and they're gonna address it now in the 15th, supposedly, like 2 days from now. That's where they're gonna do their thing and they're gonna address it. But that to me tells me that there is a lot of truth behind the rumors. If he didn't come right out and say, "No, no, don't worry, don't leave Xbox. We're not doing this," it feels to me that there is truth to
You could
this.
have easily just watched it right there. Yeah.
Yeah, he could have squashed it right then and there. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think about it. Personally, I don't have any issue with that. I would love a future where we have one console that plays everything. Like that would I don't care about that, but I can see how people are angry because of that because they've invested in this
Investing.
ecosystem and all that stuff. So yeah. So what do you guys think?
I've heard that one of the reasons potentially could be because it takes so long for them to like develop like a good game that the waiting in between the development and the release and like getting some cash is like way too long, and they're Xbox at the end of the day is part of Microsoft. Microsoft right now just wants like quick cash, quick cash. They're just growing exponentially with other divisions aside from games, and I think they're trying to follow that trend, and that's maybe why they're doing this, because this is the only way they feel like they're gonna be profitable overnight. It's just like expanding their catalog to every single system out there. So
Yeah, they come right out and they've admitted, like they admitted it in the FTC thing, and they've admitted it recently as well, like in the Phil Spencer interview that he did with Kind of Funny. We lost the console race. Like they're outright saying we lost the console race. There's no way. Like I remember back then, it was before Starfield. He was like, even if Starfield is like an S tier game, it's not gonna change anything. Like it's just not gonna change anything for us. So I think that's really the reason. Like you're on it, Ruby Cal. They're like, we have to make money, and I think this is the way that we're gonna make money. All right. So if you got nothing else for that, the last thing that I got for you guys is Helldivers 2. This is at least some positive news. Helldivers 2, which is exclusive for PlayStation and PC right now, as far as I know, is the first PlayStation game to reach 100,000 concurrent players. So they released it day one on PC and PlayStation, which is a first for them as well. And because of that, it's been an incredible success. Obviously, there was a lot of hype behind Helldivers going into it anyway. It's not a game for me. I played the first one, but I know a lot of people love it and we're into it. So yeah, that's a positive note. But I'm interested in the fact that it's curious to me that Xbox has gotten so much flack for their model, and PlayStation is essentially doing the same thing. And this is like their first time releasing a game both on PC and on PlayStation day one. So it's clear that PlayStation is also toying with this idea. They did it with the MLB, the show, right? That's the one that they put on Game Pass. So I don't understand why PlayStation isn't getting the same heat as Xbox is getting. They're essentially doing the same thing. Like you can see the trend is moving that way.
Fun fact about that too, when you look at the release date for Rebirth and what the exclusivity for that one is looking like, it's a much shorter time than Remake was as well.
Yeah, so I think the future that's what the future is, and let's be honest. Like when we look back on history, on gaming history, we're going to remember Xbox as the ones that made that change. Like they're the ones that did that change with Game Pass, and now with these moves that they're doing. So when the inevitable future comes, where we have everything is multi-platform essentially, or when we have that one magical console that everything is on it, we're going to look back and say Xbox, Microsoft were the ones that did that change. They forced that thing to happen. So I think people are angry now, but I think years from now we're going to be celebrating
They just
these
can't make
moves.
good games for it, but yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's there's no changing that. There's no redeeming that. That's for sure. At least right now.
They need
So
the
yeah,
money now to make AI games, you know. That's gonna be the plot twist right there.
yeah, we'll see where AI and stuff like that comes into to video games. So yeah, the only thing that I got then is Kojima. So I guess if you want to do the Kojima section, that's the last thing that I got.
Yes, sir. Back
Basically,
again.
all right, back after a long time, just like coincidentally, the Hideo, what's it called? The Hideo cast or something like that. It's called. Basically, he had this podcast that he used to have, or not a podcast, but it's like a behind the scenes video that he used to do. Whatever. It's been 7 years since he's done one, and he did one recently, and we got a bunch of information about the new games that he's doing and Death Stranding 2, but specifically Fizzant. So Fizzant, is the espionage game that he announced for the first time recently. A few facts, a few details that he gave us in that video. One of them is the inspiration for it is that during COVID, apparently he got sick and it was so severe that he feared for his life and he actually wrote his will during that time. So he was basically clocked out. And he said that for years fans have been asking for another Metal Gear, another a stealth game and stuff like that, but he wants to do new stuff. But when he fell sick and he was almost dead, it kind of made him reevaluate his life and his career. And he said, you know what, maybe I will give the fans what they want. I think they deserve it. And that's why he decided to do what's going to be Fizzant eventually. It's essentially a thank you to the fans and saying, here, get it, enjoy. Basically, that's what he's gonna do with that game. So he says he'll turn 70 in 10 years. He's 60 right now, going on 61. He says I hope to never retire, but having said that, if users desire it so much, I thought I should change my priorities a bit. I still want to do new things, but I decided to make an action espionage game. And then he talks about, making movies, but he doesn't have time for it, even though he is making a movie right now. And that's when Guillermo del Toro told him, your games are basically movies already, so don't worry about it. And that's when he took that direction with Fizzant to make it kind of like this. And the last quote that I have for you guys is he says that it's a brand new original IP and it will use cutting edge technology and a stellar cast to deliver an experience like no other, and will blur the boundaries between film and games, offering near lifelike graphics and a new take on interactive entertainment. That's basically what he says. And most likely, the article ends up by saying this is most likely going to be a PS6 era game. Good. All right, so that's basically what we got for Kojima. What do you guys think about this new Fizzant game?
Now that it's well explained like that with like context, it like makes it wholesome, you know, like makes you like, oh, look forward to it, you know. I think that amongst all the like glamour of like him presenting and getting the spotlight was kind of like, ah, it's Kojima being Kojima. Like maybe you were excited, maybe other people were like, ah, it's not gonna be that great. Like whatever, Kojima doesn't got it. But like now that he goes that deep in explaining like his thought and see feelings about it, I feel like yeah, we're gonna get more of that Kojima that we fell in love with, you know?
I think it's a like you mentioned. He said that that's a thank you to the fans, and I think that's also gonna be a nephew to Konami, and I'm good with both of those things.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna call it right now. Whatever that game is, whenever it comes out, you heard it here first. Game of the year that day, that year. Whatever
Oh,
year that comes out, that's game of the year. That's my prediction. Nothing else is gonna compete with that. All right. So we'll see. I have hype. I'm crazy hyped, but I'm a hardcore Kojima fan too. Like I recognize his failures and all that stuff. Like I know that especially recently, he hasn't been creating stuff, with Death Stranding specifically that appeals to everybody like Metal Gear Solid used to appeal to. But I think Metal Gear Solid never appealed to everybody either. Like I think it's pretty much revisionist history. Like people were divided in those games as well, and they were weird and they were difficult to understand, and they were basically movies. And I don't think Kojima has changed that much. Death Stranding is more niche than Metal Gear Solid, but personally, I love it. I love that game. That is going to be a game that I'm going to be playing soon as well. Like as soon as I have time, I'm going to be replaying that game for the third time. So I'm very, very hyped for whatever he's doing next. I'm hyped for Death Stranding 2. I'm hyped for OD, and I'm hyped for Fizzing. Here's hoping that he actually gets these games finished, though, because it's I don't know, it's mind-boggling to me how he gets anything done.
No, we really gotta eat those vitamins and make sure we stay healthy for that.
Yeah, we gotta stay healthy. If he could do it, we could do it as well. So all right. So that's all I got for you guys today.
All right, good amount of stuff, different kind of stuff. So thank you, Manuel, for always bringing us the news. We're gonna move on then from that, and we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that we have watched recently as well. We're gonna start with Ruby Cat. Ruby Cat, the first one I have for you here is Succession.
Oh yeah, I finally finished the session. I did watch, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Emmys, right? Those are like the right awards for this kind of stuff. And I haven't finished Succession by then. And I was like, why is it like Succession killing it in season 4? You know, I know I was only like on season 3, and I could not understand how like pretty much the entire cast that got nominated got an award, you know? At that point, and then I watched season 4, and I cannot believe that the last season was better than any season they've had before. And that's, to me, is rare, because usually I think like there's a tendency of like trying to stretch things out, tell more to the story, not have like a good conclusion, something satisfying, and this just delivered in all fronts. Like it was such a satisfying ending, I think, and the cast was solid. Like they did deserve those awards that they got. I cannot believe that at least 3 of the actors that share scenes, all of them got an award, you know? And just seeing that in real time, all 3 of them like reaching that level on screen, to me it was a good experience. Like it's been a while since I sit in a series and I'm like, wow, there's like raw talent, good writing, like great dialogue. A lot of Succession is just dialogue. There's not gonna be anything else other than the what the characters are plotting, what they're telling each other, like the undertones, what they mean, and all that. Like you're trying to figure out how like everything's gonna play out. And I think it was a brilliant show. I highly recommend.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wish I had the time. Not the time, but the dedication. Because I know I could sit down and watch it, but it's something about watching TV shows, man, that just makes it difficult. Like it's too much of an investment for me. But I wish I had time for that one. So there's this one episode that I don't know which one it is, but I'm pretty sure I heard about an episode in the final season that like blew everybody's minds away. I don't know what episode it was, but they do have that. Was there one episode where you were like, "Oh my goodness, this episode is incredible"? Because I heard at the time everybody talking about like that one episode that should be nominated and all that stuff.
I honestly don't know which episode you're talking about because I was mind blown during the
Okay.
entire season. If I can think of one, it's probably like maybe 2 episodes before the ending. But I can't say
Okay.
anything because I will be spoiling it. So I
Yeah.
think that was very well acted and like just yeah, really great. I need to research that. Thanks for the tip.
Mhm.
All right, and then next up is Manuel. You've been watching a couple of movies.
Yeah, I've been trying to watch all the Best Picture movies. It's a little difficult because of timing and also because some of the movies my girlfriend wants to watch, so I can't watch them on my own, and that takes away what I can and can't watch or whatever. So that's a little frustrating as well. But so far I've watched 4. All right, Oppenheimer, we talked about it. I saw that, in the movies or whatever. So far, in order of best to worst, is literally as I've watched them. Like they're in the same order that I've watched them. They basically every time I watch one, it goes down on the list. So Oppenheimer's number 1. Then I watched Maestro, and I don't remember talking about that here, but it's Bradley Cooper. And to be honest, I enjoyed Maestro more than Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer is a way better movie. Like it's a masterpiece of a movie. So Maestro is really good. It's on Netflix. The way I see it is like it's more so Bradley Cooper growing as a director than anything else, and as an actor, but mostly as a director. So he did A Star Is Born, and that was a great movie. But that's a movie that everybody's done before. Like a lot of people have done that movie throughout the years and whatnot. And that's like a starter. When a director's starting off, that's like a good way to start. And that's what he did, and it was good, but it was safe. This one is a little more risky because it's biography and is based on a real person. The family of that person is still alive, so they're gonna judge it, they're gonna criticize it and whatnot. And the angle that he did it in, I'm gonna try not to talk too much, but the angle that he did it in is he did a biography about this famous conductor, American conductor or whatever, but it's not so much about his life. He did it through the lens of his relationship with his wife. So it's kind of like a love story. And through that lens is that we see his life and stuff around it. So I've never like it's not common to see a biography through that type of angle. And I really enjoyed it. Like it's conflicting because the man was apparently he was I think I gather he's bisexual because I know he's gay in the movie, but he also really loves his wife. Like he genuinely loves her. And so I don't know if he was bisexual or if he was gay and then he just married a person because he loved her, or if he was, whatever. That's not the point. The point is that the way Bradley Cooper does it and the way he performs his role, it's really, really, really well done. Like I really enjoyed the ride that this movie took me on. It's a shame. My prediction is Maestro's not going to get any Oscars. Like, and the reason why I don't think that it's going to get any Oscars is because it's clearly a movie made to win Oscars. And movies that are made to win Oscars don't usually win Oscars. This one
It's bait.
feels like a movie that, yeah, it feels like he made this movie to show everybody, look how great of an actor and great of a director I am, right? And all the interviews leading up to the movie, he was like talking about, oh, I spent 8 years practicing conducting so that I could do that one scene for 2 minutes or whatever. It's like, and it feels pretentious, right? When you see all the interviews and stuff like that, it feels pretentious. So that's why I don't think this movie's gonna get a lot of love. But I really enjoyed it. So that's my number two. Then it's Past Live is my number three so far out of the four. Talk to you a little bit about it in the chat. It's a fairly simple movie. The premise is like a typical romance movie, but I think it's done in a really good way. And what they actually do with it towards the end, is not just a romance movie. Like that's not what it is. It is much more deep than that. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, this is a simple movie. I get why people like it, but it's too simple for me. But I decided to just let the movie take me, and I'm glad I did that because it took me where they wanted me to, like where they wanted me to be, which is to basically analyze my life, like in a way that I immediately wrote my girlfriend. I was like, if this happened, what would you do or whatever? And I started telling her. In the movie, they talk about this thing. I think it's called Inyoung. It's a foreign movie, so I'm pretty sure it's Korean if I'm not mistaken. They're Korean, um, and they talk about this concept in there that's Inyoung, which is basically like fate or destiny. And the way they view it is like whenever you have a relationship with somebody, whatever type of relationship you have, is because you have had relationships with that person in past lives. So that's why the movie's called Past Lives. And so if you're walking down the street and you just bump into somebody, that means that you had some sort of connection with them in a past life, but not enough to have a full relationship in this life, right? So if you end up marrying somebody, the way they view it is because you've had 8,000 past lives with this person, which lead up to you being married to this person. It's like it's the message is very beautiful, and it makes me, I like thinking about that stuff. So it makes me think like, man, if that stuff were true, like what does that mean? Like why am I with this person now? What did our past lives? What will we be in the future? And I don't know. I love the way it made me think about that stuff. So yeah, that's my number three right now. I think Past Lives, my prediction is gonna be, I think Oppenheimer's gonna win the big ones. I think Past Lives is going to be like the indie darling that takes a bunch of smaller awards and stuff. I think that's going to be the one that wins a lot of, and it might take Best Picture. You never know. It might surprise Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer's still the favorite. And lastly, I saw The Holdovers, which is in fourth place, and it's basically just a story about like a high school where people live there, and they're going on Christmas vacation. But for whatever reason, one student and one professor can't go on Christmas vacation, so they have to stay throughout the entire Christmas together. And they hate each other, and the professor, everybody hates this professor. So it's basically that's what it is, right? And how they build their relationship by the end of it, they love each other and whatnot. Like it's a heartwarming movie. I think best performance so far, in my heart, I would give it to either Killian or Bradley Cooper, but I wouldn't be surprised if, what is his name, man? I can't. The guy that does Rhino in the Amazing Spider-Man, Paul
Uh,
Giamatti.
yep.
Paul Giamatti. So Paul Giamatti is a subtle performance. I think it's his best performance, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the best performance in this year's Oscar. So yeah, I've enjoyed him in that degree. And you can't go wrong with any of them. I think the least one is Holdovers. It's not one that I would recommend anybody. But if you just want to watch a Oscar nominated movie, it's not a bad movie to watch. So yeah, that's what I've been watching.
All right. Good suggestions there. And I mean, they're nominated. You can't really go wrong with with them at all.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
There's are some really bad Oscar movies historically. Like I can never. For the life of me, one of the things that I've always hated was when La La Land was nominated, and it went against Moonlight, and Moonlight won the Best Picture, and they won a bunch of other Oscars. I'm like, man, I had to watch this movie because I love La La Land. Like, La La Land is one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time. And so I watched Moonlight, man. Like I couldn't tell you, I couldn't hate a movie more than Moonlight. Like I just did not enjoy that movie. I found it so boring. I found it like I don't understand why that movie won so many Oscars and Best Picture. So you can go wrong. Just because they're nominated doesn't mean they're good movies.
All right. It's not like the no name like the no name awards then. All right, and then another thing that happened very recently here that you guys watch. I didn't watch it myself, but that would be the Super Bowl. Ruby Cat, you had a team in there as well. Why don't you tell us about that?
Disclaimer, by any means, I'm no expert in the NFL. I just started watching maybe a couple years ago, and I'm a casual watcher, but oh, it hurt to see the 49ers lose because they haven't gotten a ring, I think, in like the last 30 years. Like, that's been like not great for them. And they made it to the final, which is like an achievement on itself. And I think like both teams, I feel like they didn't play their best, even at the Super Bowl level. And I don't think it's because like, oh, they were so good that, that's what was happening. Like they got low scores. Like they struggled with their defenses. It seems like they had fatigue. I didn't see a lot of like aggressiveness to begin with. It felt like more like towards the end they started getting aggressive, right? It was the fourth quarter, and then overtime. I don't know why the Chiefs got like the superpowers and they said, this is it, we're gonna like drive it home. And the 49ers were kind of like nowhere to be seen. Like the drive was not there. I think there were some bad calls from the 49ers coach that probably he's not gonna admit to publicly. But we were very close to a victory. I think like the key play, there was two key plays. Like we fumbled about the ball. We didn't make that extra point that Moody should have had, could have won, could have like not gone overtime. We could have pushed back on the defense, not let them hit the 20 yards, so they didn't kick the ball, so they didn't like tie the game and then went overtime. Like there was many situations where we could have just been the champions and they just didn't chase for it. So I am sad. I hope they learn a lesson.
Before we
Yeah,
get to, oh, sorry,
go ahead.
I was just say before we get to Manuel, I want to say you're doing great because you mentioned, oh, I'm not an expert, and then you just came up with like a whole game plan of things that went wrong that I most definitely cannot explain. So I think you're doing all right there.
I'm learning.
Definitely. I'm definitely more of a casual than you. I'm less of a football fan than you are. I usually watch the Super Bowl mostly because I want to watch the commercials and stuff like that and halftime show. But every time I do watch the Super Bowl, which is almost every year, every time I watch any football game, I'm like, man, this is a sport. Like I could get into it just like as much as I get into NBA. Like I really enjoy football, right? I find it very entertaining. I have something happen. I watched it in my girlfriend's house, and I haven't talked to her about this, and I'm not gonna talk to her about it because I feel kind of like worried and embarrassed. And it's the fact that her mom, they're baseball fans. They don't know anything about football, so they were sitting there watching it. Nobody could understand. I was there explaining to them, this is what's happening. Like this is what I was trying to explain to them, whatever. And at some point, she was like, her mom was like, man, football is kind of boring, right? Like there's low scoring in football, and I got very defensive. I was like, baseball is worse. All right, and I started explaining to her why baseball. I started explaining why baseball is worse and the low
Manuel
percentage of hits and stuff like that.
doing
And
the
and
Lord's
when I
work
left
out
home,
there.
yeah, when I got home, I've been thinking since the Super Bowl. I'm like, man, I think I rubbed her the wrong way. Like I must have rubbed her the wrong way. I didn't mean it in a bad way, but I kind of got defensive with it unintentionally. So
We're
yeah,
just
I enjoyed it.
passionate.
I
Yeah.
don't think that low
Um,
scores are normal. Like I
No,
don't
no,
think they were
especially not a Super
normal.
Bowl. Especially not a
Nope.
Super Bowl. I agree with you. The first quarter, especially, but the first half in general was very low scoring and very slow. You saw a lot of mistakes like going into that third quarter. There was a lot of bad passes, a lot of fumbles. There were a lot of bad calls on both ends. I told you afterwards, like I'm surprised that the Chiefs pulled it out because I really thought the 49ers had this locked, right? They were playing better defense. they were playing like making at least less mistakes than what I was noticing, right? So I was very much surprised that they pulled it off in the end. The one thing that I don't enjoy about football is the fact that this, like, I get why they do it this way. It attracts much more eyes to watch the Super Bowl. It's like this big event. But personally, I prefer series like in baseball, basketball, and stuff like that because anybody can have an off night, right? Anybody can have a bad day, and that day both teams had bad days. So for you to lose the Super Bowl because that game you just had bad luck, or that game you just had an off night, I've never been a fan of that. But at the same time, it makes it more entertaining and like this is it. They just make it or break it. Like there is nothing after this. So I get why they do it. And it was, by the way, it became this Super Bowl and to surprise nobody, I'm gonna tell you why in a second if you don't know Ace, but the most watched television show in history was this Super
Yep.
Bowl. And the reason is obvious. It's called somebody called Taylor Swift. Like that, we can't deny the power of
Who's
Taylor
that
Swift.
player? It sounds fast. I saw a meme like, who's that player? It sounds fast.
Yeah, I saw the other meme of Travis Kelsey's like his card information or whatever, and it didn't even say like what team he played for or stats or anything like that. It just said boyfriend of Taylor Swift. Like that's what he's known for now. He's boyfriend of Taylor Swift. So yeah, like we can't deny the power. Her just being there, it was an event. Like people just wanted to watch this thing just for glimpses of her on camera. Like that's literally it. It's incredible. To me, I've never seen anybody like her outside of Michael Jackson. Like this is it. Like Taylor Swift is something huge.
Just a ridiculous draw.
Another
so
different thing is they changed the rules this year, right? For
for
overtime.
overtime,
And
yep.
then they claim that even the 49ers didn't know the new rules.
They didn't know the rules. Like the player said it. He was like, I didn't know. I wasn't aware of this. And I think one of the coaches also admitted it, which is embarrassing.
Yeah.
This is very, very embarrassing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they score first in overtime? Like did they score at some point in overtime? Because I didn't watch the overtime. I just saw the stats in the clip.
49ers only got to kick. They didn't do the touchdown. And I believe that the new rule says the first one to do a touchdown wins.
Okay.
So
See, I
the
didn't
Chiefs
know
did the
that.
first touchdown, and that's what got them the victory.
That's
That was
crazy. Because
it.
I think
The 49ers score first with the
yes,
kick. So
because
it's kind of
that's
like,
I think if I might be mistaken, but I think the older rule was the first to score, that's it. The overtime is over and you win the game. So they
yes,
thought that they had won the game at that point and they did it. So
they
that's bad.
didn't.
That's bad.
It's really bad. They didn't know
Yeah.
the rules. They admit it. It was the 49ers. And
Yeah.
so like you can say like, this is kind of sketchy.
Yeah, but it's also their fault though. Like let's be honest. Like they explained the rules before overtime. They explained it to them. So they just didn't really pay much attention to the explanation of the
I
rules.
think it's kind of like also the pressure. Imagine that you're
Yeah.
there, you've known the game one way, and they tell you there's new
Yeah.
rules for this game. This is it. Listen, and I don't know if you can like rewire your
That's true.
mindset
That's
at
true.
that moment. You
Yeah,
know? So,
adrenaline, you're just thinking about the game. You're not really paying attention to anything else that's going on. So I get it. Yeah,
Especially if you played it a specific way for a long time.
Yeah.
What I find the most like craziest about that, like I said, I didn't watch it. I'm just learning through you guys what transpired. But you know, sudden death, it scored in any ways how it used to be. So then, you know, they think they have it, and then at that point, just it's completely deflating. No pun intended. That just had this happens of oh, we thought we had it, we don't have it. Like suddenly the morale is way down. That affects your play also.
Yeah, that definitely affects it. Like that is a big factor after that. So the one thing that I was rooting for Kansas City, like I was divided because I didn't want to root for the Taylor Swift team, which is Kansas City. Because I personally, as much as I praise and I recognize it, I don't like her as a person or as a musician. Like I just don't like her. So I didn't want to root for Kansas City, but I did. Like I told Rubika, I was like, but I love the conversation around Mahomes. So I want him to win it because I like this is the new GOAT, right? Like this is the one that's gonna become the greatest of all time. And yeah, and I like that. I enjoy that. So I was rooting for them for that. And he showed it. Like he showed up, he showed why he's that guy. Like they won thanks to him and his passing and all that stuff. And the conversation that we might have at some point, Ace, maybe if you paying attention to this conversation is the conversation that people are having now is the GOAT conversation between Mahomes and Brady closer
Uh-huh.
than the conversation between LeBron and MJ. And that's just very, very interesting. It's very interesting
I
conversation
might
to
have to
have.
get and learn a lot more just for that conversation, just to be ready for that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's young still. That's the thing. Like his numbers are so close to Brady's being at a younger age. That's what's impressive about it. So he can surpass him easily in the next few seasons or years. Yeah. So yeah, I had fun, man. I had a lot of fun. And it's also fun watching it with non people that don't know anything about football. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy them talking over everything because I like listening to commentary and stuff like that while I'm watching games. But I do enjoy like seeing them like, oh, what's going on? Like, what's this or whatever. Like when everybody goes crazy, they're like, what happened? What happened? Explain to me. And I find that funny. I find that fun.
Does sound like fun. All right, and then
The last thing I want to mention real quick before you
yes.
move on to Super Bowl halftime show, Usher, I think is easily top 3, top 5 of all time.
It
Usher,
was
like I
very
think Usher
entertaining.
killed her.
I think there was some audio problems during
Yeah,
the
that's the
Super
only
Bowl.
thing. That's the
The
only
only
thing.
thing, but like the entertainment, the songs that they chose, I was like all for it. Yep.
Yeah, the choreography, like when he came out in roller skates, like that whole section was
The
to
roller
me was
skate choreography. Yep.
very, very, very impressive. I think it really is top 3, top 5. So I would
I was-
say Michael Jackson, Prince, number 1 and number 2.
The best part was Kanye and his commercial. I'm kidding.
You saw that since we're talking about it, I wasn't gonna
We
say
have to.
anything, but since we're talking about it, like his that worked. He spent $7 million on a commercial on the commercial spot. So he invested all the money on having the commercial spot. He didn't have any money for the commercial itself. So he basically just pulled out a phone and he told people, "Hey, go to this link and buy my shoe." And yeah, that's it. That was the commercial. And in 24 hours, he sold over 19 million worth of merchandise. So it worked. That's crazy. That's just
Yep.
crazy.
recoup his
And he put
losses there.
Yeah, and everything was for $20 too. Like stuff that costs hundreds of dollars, everything was at I think it's still at $20. Like you can buy that stuff for $20, which is also very impressive.
Yes.
As much of a, problematic person that he is, he's also pretty impressive in the stuff that he does.
Oh, no doubt. All right, and then so the other aspect of another reason why people that don't necessarily enjoy or know much about football watch the Super Bowl for Super Bowl trailers. I just watched the one because Luis sent it to the chat, so I can only speak of that. But you guys can tell me what else going on there.
So ball trailer and commercials. Like there's a series of Dunkin' Donuts commercials that you got to watch, which is Ben Affleck basically being crazy. Like he's acting like an extreme Bostonian and stuff like that with an accent, and he's doing a bunch of crazy stuff. He shows up at J-Lo's studio, and it's very, very funny. It's very entertaining. I enjoy the commercials. Yeah. So trailers. What do you want to start off with?
I don't
At
know
least
what
I
else
watched the
happened.
Deadpool one. I watched the Deadpool one. I think the only one.
Oh, you guys didn't watch any of the other ones, even though we said it in the chat. Like I'm the only one that does his homework. Okay.
I'm just not
Manuel
interested
can't
in
carry the whole
it.
thing. Like he does
Yeah.
the news, and now he gotta do this too.
I'm just not
I'm kidding.
interested in that one. I'm kind of like the special kid, like you tell them do this, and I'm like, well, I don't like this, so I'm not gonna go do it.
Yeah, I get it. And I saw the trailer, and it's not worth it either. Like it's not for me either. It's not for me. So I guess we'll start with that. I guess since you mentioned it, Wicked is made for people that are extreme fans of the Broadway show Wicked, and that's basically like a movie take of that. So people that are real fans of the Broadway show saw the trailer and they're hyped for it. But people like us that don't have any connection to the Broadway show, it does not look good for me. I'm not interested in it. So that's that one.
Shout out to Jay
And
on
the
the
other
chat.
Oh yeah, what's up, Jay? And also the other one, real quick, since we all saw the Deadpool, let me just mention real quick. Then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I saw that one as well. It's gonna be the start of a new trilogy, which I'm not really sure how I feel about that or whatever. I saw the trailer and like it looks good enough, has enough there for me to watch it. But it's still strange to see. I don't know. It's strange to see another Planet of the Apes that isn't the original trilogy or the previous trilogy, and to see so many apes talking, like outright talking, also kind of takes away from it a little bit, because to me it was awesome to see them struggling with words in the previous ones and learning how to talk. But now since they know how to talk, they're just basically
It's not
human beings that look
special.
like apes. Yeah, so it kind of takes away from it a little bit, but the themes that they're touching in the trailer, which is evolution and space, like they hinted at space, so maybe we're gonna see apes in space at some point. I'm very much looking forward to at least watching it. So yeah, it was a good trailer, I think.
Oh, you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, there's a trailer there. I'm assuming, Super Bowl gets new trailers, so I haven't watched maybe the particular one, but I have watched the trailer for, I think it's for Fall Guy or something like that is what the movie is called.
I don't know what that one is.
It's like on the top left there. He's like a
Oh yeah,
stunt
with
guy.
the yeah.
I did watch that
haven't
one. It
seen
seemed kind of funny, but that's all I can really say about that. It was when I
I'm
went to the
trying to figure out
movies.
what's the one what do you think the one on the right is on the right corner? It looks like Ghostbusters. I'm not sure though. I can't barely see it.
Did
Nah,
they
I
have
got
one
it.
for
Oh, that's
Ghostbusters? I
Twisters.
have to
Oh,
look
that's
at it.
Twisters. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, I didn't watch that one, so I gotta watch that one. The original Twisters is really
Oh,
good. So
oh yeah. Oh wow, that
yeah,
was a long time ago.
yep. I don't know. I'm not sure what the other two are though. Oh, the other one's Quiet Place, which I'm not interested in the least. And yeah, I don't know. That's it.
so I guess it's Deadpool then.
Yeah. So
I mean,
you guys saw it before me. I saw it today, so I guess you guys can go.
before we get one of you, tell us what you thought about that one.
I mean, the Marble Jesus. That's the summary of my expectations for this movie right there. Be Marble Jesus, please. Even though I know Manuel was debating whether this is a Marvel movie or not, because like you've mentioned, like this is made by the original people. It's not necessarily made by the Marvel people, but it has
Thank
the Marvel
God.
tag. So who knows what's going on? But I do like Deadpool. It's lighthearted. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be it's still rated R, which is great. There's gonna be all kinds of crazy things, and I'm excited just to see Hugh Jackman again. Like we thought we'd never see him again. It's gonna be something weird because like the last movie he was like older and wiser, and it was like such a heartbreak just to see that movie. And now the character's gonna be brought back to probably something that's not that serious. But we don't know that. We don't know if like how they're gonna play that out, right? But comics are really good between Deadpool and Wolverine. I have high expectations. I'm gonna say that it's not that this is gonna make me come back to Marvel because, like Manuel pointed out, it's not necessarily Marvel. But if you look at the trailer closely, I think they had the TVA in the background, which means they're gonna connect it to whatever Loki and anything. And I'm like, I hope it just doesn't get too convoluted and it makes sense. That's all my hopes. So
A small parenthesis. Did you guys know that Logan, the movie Logan, isn't actually the Wolverine, like the Wolverine that we see there and all the characters that we see there, but the Wolverine is not the same Wolverine from all of the other X-Men movies. Like Logan is actually his own thing, is his own universe. It's not actually a continuation of the previous universe. Like that's so strange because we all watch it thinking that it's just this Wolverine in the future. But in actuality, the director says that no, that's not the idea. This is actually his own thing. It's a different version of Logan in a different universe like that. It's not canon. So this Wolverine that we're getting here is actually a different Wolverine than the Wolverine from the classic 90s and 2000s movies and stuff like that. I don't know. It doesn't mean anything. I just wanted to mention it real quick.
I think they just don't want to mess up the way that it ended. I think they have mentioned something about that. It's like that's close, it was good the way that it was done, so they don't want to mess it up by going back to it. So it's good to differentiate that. I mean, I'm excited for it, which it's like I haven't been as excited to watch anything from then since like I think the Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man movie. So that's it, and that's just it's because it's Deadpool, it's because it's Ryan, it's because it's the same kind of people, it's the same people that did the other ones. I don't necessarily trust. I mean, I don't trust Marvel to do this character justice at all because it's like completely different thing from what they do, and I don't trust them to do much else. I mean, Loki was really well done. I don't know if you guys ended up watching that, but Loki's arc was really well done. But that's an outlier. We gotta say that, and out of everything else that they've been putting out. So
Yeah, I would say like to me the Deadpool movies are Like I told you guys, they're basically like throwaway movies for me. I don't really enjoy them as much as everybody else enjoys them. Like they're fun to watch, and that's it. So when I heard, Hugh Jackman was back for Deadpool 3, I was kind of like, it's hype because you want to see him back again, but it's also like I'm kind of disappointed that this is the way they're bringing him back in this movie. That's usually kind of like, okay, that passed, and then we're never going to talk about it again. But having watched this trailer, I do think that in terms of trailers for each of the three movies, this is my favorite trailer for in any of the respective movies. So I'm more hyped for Deadpool 3 than I've ever been for Deadpool 1 or 2. I think the trailer did a good job. I think it was fun. I laughed throughout. The action scenes look awesome. Like they look really, really, really awesome. They're gonna be cool to watch. And the way they revealed Hugh Jackman makes me. I wish so much that we didn't know anything about this movie, that we didn't know that Hugh Jackman was going to be back. And then we watch this trailer and we see that. How hyped would we be? Like I'm still hyped. Well, how hyped would it have been if we didn't know anything going into it? I love the way they showed it because they didn't show him per se. They just showed the shadow. And I was like, that's a perfect way to do it. Most likely we're gonna see more trailers and gonna show it later on. But at least for right now, I love the way they revealed Wolverine and I'm glad it's not just a buddy cop movie. It doesn't feel that way because he's actually coming back. Like I don't know, I loved it. I like the trailer a lot. I'm looking forward to this one.
I agree. When you do, when you're mentioning that about like the way that they showed it, it's like if we didn't know anything about it and we just saw like the shape, we know it's a Wolverine, right? So there's gonna be
You
a
wouldn't know
Wolverine.
even
And then you go to the
yeah.
movies and you see it. Like this is what the
Yeah.
movies going to the movies is for. Kind of like when when Captain America grabbed Mjolnir, like stuff like that. That's why you go to the movies. So it would have been
Yeah.
awesome. I agree with you 100%, but it definitely looks
Yeah.
good though.
Yeah.
They
And I
probably could,
enjoy.
and I could imagine like just like Hugh Jackman being a celebrity, just like styling his hair, getting jacked, like
Yeah.
people
There's no
being kind of
way.
like speculating that they wouldn't been able to hide it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's no way to hide something like that. Like that's too big of a news to be able to hide. I also want to say real quick that especially towards the beginning, like most of the trailer, I got Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe vibes. I don't know if you guys have read that or anything like that, but it felt that way. I was like, that actually would have been kind of cool to do. Obviously, we understand why they're not going to do it because it's part of the MCU and it's Disney and all that stuff. But actually, that would have been cool. There's a comic where he basically goes and kills everybody in the MCU, and it's a really fun comic. And this one gave me that vibe. So the fact that he's so self aware that he's in the MCU, that this is a Disney thing and stuff like that, that makes it, I think, cooler. And I think they can. I hope they can do something really really interesting with that idea. Like hopefully Deadpool. Hopefully this isn't the end of Deadpool. Hopefully Deadpool's that character that kind of makes fun of what we're watching in the MCU every now and again. That'd be cool.
That's your right comedy right there, not like the crappy stuff that sometimes we get from the MCU.
Which I enjoy. Like I don't know. Did you ever you watched the end of She-Hulk, right, Ace? And you didn't watch that at all, right? Right, Ruby Cat?
No, I've refused to
Lucky.
watch Marvel for a long time after Love
Yeah.
and Thunder.
Yeah, I get it. But what they did at the end, like that last episode where they broke the fourth wall, I think that was very cool too. Like I like at least that moment. Even though I didn't enjoy that episode, but that moment I think was very cool, and I think Deadpool could do something similar to that. So here's hoping. I'm hyped. I'm hyped for it. I thought I wasn't gonna be hyped, but I'm hyped.
That's good. Finally, a superhero movie to be excited for.
Yeah.
It's been rough for a while. I mean, I was excited for. Well, no, I wasn't super excited for Blue Beetle. I was very happy with it after I saw it, but I wasn't
Mhm.
super excited going in. So that
Yeah,
one doesn't even
and
count.
yep, and even this one, like I'm hyped for it, but I'm not expecting anything more than let's go watch this fun movie today, and that's it. Like that's basically what I'm expecting from it. Let's just go watch this fun movie, laugh for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then we're good.
Which is, I think, something that I guess I've been missing. Just doing that. I don't know, for some reason but I will just speak for me. I feel like I've been getting more critical of certain things where you can just go and watch
Hmm.
a movie. So I'm trying to like really back in and just be like, yeah, it's a fun movie. That's all. Like you don't need to overanalyze everything, and maybe you'll have a better time of it. But that's
Yeah, I
me
think that's why.
personally. That's what I've
Yeah,
been
I think
feeling.
that's why I enjoyed She-Hulk. I think I enjoyed like She-Hulk is not something that I would normally like. I would be right with you guys hating it from beginning to end. But I think at that point I'm already clocked out to the point where whenever I turn something on, I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch it, see if it's at least entertaining, and that's it. Like I'm not gonna overanalyze it, and I think that's why I enjoy She-Hulk. It was just to me, it was entertaining enough, right? And that's what I'm looking forward to. Although I'm looking forward to it more quality with Deadpool 3 than She-Hulk. Let's at least be that.
Yeah.
But but I'm
I
not
don't-
expecting us to be like this is Avengers level or anything like that.
I don't remember. Did you watch the Thor: Love and Thunder movie?
I started and I just couldn't.
That's
I
why.
couldn't. It was
See,
very
because it
bad.
broke Ruby Cat. He was like, okay, I'm done, and rightfully
Yeah.
so.
I couldn't deal with it. Like I just couldn't deal with it. It was
It was
so
ridiculous.
bad. That first like half hour, it was just so bad, and I refused to go back to it, and I'm just not going to watch it ever, most likely.
Yeah.
At least the first
sure.
2 minutes were good with like Christian Bale.
That's the frustrating part. Like that's the frustrating part that this guy's so good, and that he's
Yep.
just a joke. Like they make it into a joke.
And then
I
how
don't like it.
disjointed it was, where it was like the serious scenes and then everything stupid, like the 85% stupidity, and then there's good scenes where you're like, man, why didn't we make this a movie? But it is what it is. I'm sure they've heard it all already.
Yeah. And nobody's. I know I'm in the minority here, but nobody's gonna change my mind and tell me that that isn't what Ragnarok was. Like I refuse to believe that's not what. Like I didn't enjoy Ragnarok either. I know everybody loves it, and everybody's like, no, it's not the same. It's not that it's better comedy. To me, it was Ragnarok, and I just did not like Ragnarok. And this one is even worse. Like it's just worse.
See, the Jay says here, sadly he feels like Natalie Portman was also too good for as of a casting there. A lot of wasted a lot of wasted potential in that movie.
Yep.
Unfortunately. That arc was terrible too. That wasn't even done right. But let's move on. We talked about it. We move on from there. Next thing I have, this one is more for me. That you guys had the Super Bowl. I guess I'm not gonna say this is my Super Bowl because nothing like that. I don't even watch like the product week to week. I watch like recaps. But the WWE, you guys know we've talked about it before. We played the game, stuff like that. What had happened before, I don't know how aware you guys are. Cody Rhodes is a wrestler that came back. He had like a meteoric rise when he came back. Everybody was super into him. His thing is finishing the story for his dad, who was also a wrestler, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. He didn't win the championship that Roman currently has, so he wants to do that for that reason. Everybody 100% behind them. Last WrestleMania, I think last Royal Rumble he won, so he would get a main event for that title at WrestleMania. He lost because Roman cheated, and we know like this is besides the point. Like we know it's scripted. That's not necessarily the point. It's like the hype level behind and the people be getting behind him and behind this story. Now, we know of other issues that have been transpiring with WWE. We don't necessarily have to touch on that. But one thing that came up was the fact that The Rock became part of the board of TKO, which is both the UFC and WWE. The Rock came back to WWE to take that spot from Cody after he won the Royal Rumble for a second year in a row. And the internet just went up in flames. It looked like a selfish move. There was no reason for that to happen. I had seen The Rock before talking in interviews like, yeah, he would like to have that main event with Roman, who's his cousin, to bring more people that watch his movies or whatnot that don't necessarily watch the WWE, right? Bring more eyes into the product, which is all good and fair. But we kind of out of touch in here. That just cut Cody off and whatever was going on there. People like to, continuation in there. Like people love The Rock, the wrestling. I mean, the moviegoers don't necessarily love The Rock, but people that watch wrestling, grew up with him, love him. Still completely just turned it on him, which fair enough. Now we had a kickoff kind of press conference for WrestleMania recently here in Vegas, and they just made it an angle, which like The Rock is a heel now, this and that. you can clearly tell that this is a pivot. Like I know that we were like, oh man, like Triple H is the man behind creative and whatnot, right? He's cooking, man. He's doing all the right things. Everybody's loving everything about it. And as soon as this happened, you could tell it's like somebody else got their hands in in the pot here, ruined everything. And now that they saw the reaction, we're pivoting and we're like, no, we're still gonna do that. This, like, and in the way that they're doing in the storyline, people are like, okay, we're back where we needed to go. Like it's okay, but I don't know that they had the finger in the pulse here. I think The Rock came in and he was trying to do a little too much. Uh, there could have been another time for that, and it's just they like I said they pivoted. They're good. They're in good hands with Triple H. But there was no need for it to get as convoluted as this. So now it's gonna be unnecessary the way that it's gonna go. People are gonna enjoy it again because the people like The Rock. He's gonna be involved, but it's not gonna take away from what Cody's doing. But it was a mess. I think they're right the course from what I'm gathering from the people that really watch the product all the time. So that's good. But it's just why is my question. I guess like the movie, like the movies are not doing well enough. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how, the way I looked at it. Like I've been hearing things here and there. You know, I follow people that follow all of this stuff, so I've heard from them as well. And from what I heard, I mean, I could be just be talking completely, ignorantly, but what I heard is that Rock wanted this comeback to be the end for the character, the end for the Rock, so he wanted to do it in a specific way, and so that's why they tried to give it that angle. It just didn't work out because what you said, like they had already built the storyline, and we wanted to see the end of this storyline, and then all of a sudden you do this. So yeah, the Rock is not in a good place, man. Like he's not in a place where he can. He's losing a lot of goodwill from a lot of people. He's still an attraction. He's still a star. He's still likable, but you see stuff like this and it rubs people the wrong way. So I definitely agree that it was most likely him putting his hand in things that he shouldn't.
To be fair though, I if Vince was still around, they would have steamrolled they wouldn't have cared about what people said. They would have steamrolled. They would have done what he wanted. At least they've been consistently listening to the fans since Triple H takeover, and that's great to see because that I mean those are the people that put their butts in seats and give you the money. Like why wouldn't you do that? And not to every fan because people say stupid things also, but the people that are they have a finger on the pulse and they're enjoying it. So it's really good to see that. Like, I mean, you look at the WrestleMania card or the things that are going to happen, and they throw the occasional curveball. So you're not like you don't know exactly what's gonna happen every time, which is a good thing. But also the feel good stories, the way that things have to happen for again, this is just scripted. It's like a movie. The things that have to happen, the notes that have to be hit, has been consistently hit, and that's all. That's great to see.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like wrestling is an interesting product. There's really nothing like it, right? Because this is essentially live action role playing. Like that's what it is. It's a live action role playing game. Everybody has their character and they're playing their characters, and everybody knows that it's scripted, but they're in it, and we love to see the story arcs. Like even me as an outsider, like I love to hear this stuff, and I love to see people's reactions to reveals and stuff like that. Like I love that people love it, right? And it's awesome that there is in a high point right now that it hasn't been that in that place for a while.
That's true. So we'll see. We'll see how it ends up being WrestleMania, I believe, sometime in April. So we'll see how it ends up going. But so far,
You ever
so
been to a
good.
show?
I haven't been to a show in a very long time. I have gone before, but it's been a really long time. And I don't even
How
normally watch it. There's a guy by the name of Simon Miller with What Culture, and he does like recap of the shows, and that's what I normally watch. So I still keep a tabs on it, but I don't really follow it like that. What the Royal Rumble I watched because that's like the one show a year, and then last year I watched WrestleMania. So those are two big ones. So I might watch it this year as well, but I haven't physically been to a show in like many years.
Yeah, WrestleMania is the one, right? Like that's like
Hmm.
the play like the finals or the Super Bowl and stuff like
Hmm.
that. How viable is it to go there for a fan to get a ticket to that?
I mean, it's expensive. I would say
Like, yeah,
it's probably like
like
going
could you
to.
do it?
I probably could. I think it's least like less expensive. Like for example, try to go to the NBA Finals or a Super Bowl. I'm sure.
Mhm. And the Super Bowl was between, I think it was like between $6,000 and $18
Oh
a ticket.
yeah, I'm
Like,
pretty sure
like
it's
the
cheaper than that.
that's crazy. Yeah. So I would
More
like, even me,
accessible.
like I would love to be able to do something like that, to be able to go to a live show like that.
The
That'd be
next
awesome.
WrestleMania, the No Name Crew are gonna be there.
That'd be awesome if we make it an event. Like that would be so awesome. When is that? Let's see if that's even possible. You know, does it have a date yet or no?
So the next one, like it's gonna be like on April, so it'll be probably the next year after that. But either that or like the Royal Rumble will be some of like the
Okay.
things that I'll be like, okay, I gotta go one of those bucket list.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up as you continue to see how expensive it is.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can make one of those. Yeah, hopefully I'm right and it's not as bad as other things. Because I know like live shows are not like the Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I think that obviously they're not gonna be as expensive, but I don't know how right I am on that.
So right now I'm seeing here it's like between 1,000 something to just like 1,500 is the most expensive that I'm seeing.
Okay,
So it's still a little bit outside of my budget, but I can, like, it's viable. Like it can be done.
we
I
can
think
go to
that's
Better than
nosebleeds.
the NBA. Better than the
Yeah.
NBA.
And they're pretty good seats too. It's not like we're all the way up in the rafters or anything like that. So
All right then. So then, so that's what I have for what's been going on with the WWE. We'll see how if Cody finishes the story come WrestleMania. All right, next up in our typical sections, we have stuff that we've been playing since we've been in. The last time that we were here, we didn't do our normal podcast. We were reacting live to the state of play of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then right after that, the demo dropped, and we all went our separate ways. But we'll talk about that. But before we do, let's talk about some other stuff. The beta for Skull and Bones. There's a particular reason why I'm bringing it up, but this why this like not why the game. Why is this game so bad? Is my question. Like, why is this barely even a game? I don't even know how long ago it was that we had Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but it's been many years since then. Why didn't we just do that? That was a good pirate game with Assassin's Creed nonsense in between. Why didn't we just do that? Same company years ago. And then they released this mess. Like, this is barely a game, and it's terrible. And I'm not gonna. When I thought about talking about this game, I was like, this is gonna be my new Cyberpunk 2077. Like, I'm gonna go, but no, because I don't really care about this game at all. So I'm not gonna continue to bring it up. But I bring it up today because it's terrible, and people need to be aware how terrible it is. And more of as a segue of, I have been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Again, more Ubisoft. There's ship combat in there as well. This game came out in 2018. I think, like I was telling you guys, I'm ready to make the argument that this game has been overlooked. It was 2018. Like, there were really good games that came out, and I think this is, unfortunately, this was one that got lost in the shuffle a little bit. But there was other reasons too, like the fact that this game carries the Assassin's Creed name is part of the problem. People wanted something else from their Assassin's Creed games, and they continued to. They did Origins, then they did this, would turn them into something else. Now I understand for the people that like the other games, why you do not be 100% behind this as something else than an Assassin's Creed game. I love this game. This game is great. The setting, obviously, ancient Greece. Like, I love all of that mythology and stuff like that. But it's not just that. The game still looks really good years after. And this, so you know how you have this open world. And I said you guys the map, and I'm like, yeah, I still got all of this to go. But it doesn't there's some busy work, right? But you are able to filter what you can do, and still it takes, part of the story and moves it, or just gives you bits and pieces of other stuff, which is still good content, and what's like busy work. So you don't have to do any of that. But the side stories, like everything, it's just it's a complete game. It's really good. They kept adding stuff. I know there was DLC, but they also kept like adding stuff, free updates to it and whatnot, which is not something that was talked about as well. As Jay said, really like Odyssey #2 after Black Flag, and I agree with that as well. Like I love this game. This game is great. There's so much to love about it. So it is unfortunate that a lot of people turned their back on them because, like I said, it's an Assassin's Creed game, and it probably shouldn't have been. And he, and Jay said he really did not like Valhalla, and I'm there as well. Valhalla is the pacing of that game is terrible. Like you just keep having to like go do nonsense that you don't need to do so that you can progress. Artificial walls and stuff like that stalling you. That was terrible. This one is not the case. And you can't play it as an Assassin's Creed game as well, which I have been doing. Like you get to a point where that's like, you get I find it so satisfying. For example, there's like this huge fort, and there's like a bunch of different enemies there. And just you'll use your bird Icarus to look at what's going on, where's the stuff that you need, where's there's treasure, where's this and that, and where the people are, and then plan a strategy, sneak around, take out everybody silently until you're on a post, and just get what you need. Like I that is very satisfying. I like you, Manuel, miss stealth games like that. This one has been taking care of that itch for me. Not only that, but I decided, oh, you know what? I want to 100% this game. I really enjoy the game. I want to do everything that there is. You don't need to do everything for the platinum, but I wanted to do everything. So I'm like, well, I might as well get the platinum then. And yesterday, I believe it was, that I was playing, and I am like 67 or so hours in, and I've been trying to clear out absolutely everything before I move on to the next thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little fatigued by that. So then I just continued the story, and I had no problem with doing that. Like you can do whatever you want in that sense and still be sad. Like I was like, okay, so the story's good too. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not enjoying this particular aspect. Let me do this. And then where other games, you're like, okay, I'm tired of this. You got nothing else. That we drop it and we move on to a different game, and that's not the case with this one. I think I bit off a little bit more than I could chew, considering that Rebirth is coming out. But we'll we'll see what I'm able to do there, because I am 100%. It don't matter what game it is, I'm dropping it for that day one. But I've been having a lot of fun, and I thought it would be worth talking about it because I think it's very underrated.
That's good. Like I wish I could get into it. I'm one of the guys that can't get into that type of game. Even though I haven't really given it a full shot either, like to Odyssey. I got burned out with Origins, and I started playing Odyssey, and I was like, oh, this is very similar to Origins. So in terms of the type of world structure and stuff like that. So I didn't. I don't think I'll ever really get into it, but I wish I could, because I miss playing a type of game like that.
You played what's the you played Forbidden West though, which is kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
did
big
play.
maps like that. So man, obviously you wouldn't play that like back to back, but
But again, Horizon, both of them were overwhelming for me. Like they became overwhelming for me. So it's not like that. I don't think that's a knock against what I'm saying, because I didn't enjoy that aspect of them either. Like
okay,
I didn't enjoy the amount of stuff to do in those games. Is too much for me.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but you can't just easily just go for the story, which is what I absolutely hated about Hala. Is like you can, but you have to be level 50 to not get one shot at, and since you're level 30, you have to do a million meaningless side quests to get there. That's not good game design. Not that I expect good game design from Ubisoft, but this game is really good.
Yeah, the thing that stopped me from Origins, which I never finished, I've tried it like a few times, and the last time I tried it, I played a lot of hours. And I never finished it because I'm like you, I do all the side stuff before moving on to the main stuff. And there was a point in the game where I literally reached level cap. Like I was gaining nothing from the side quest stuff. Like I got as high as I could. I would play these side quests and I would not get any XP because I had already reached my limit. So, but there was still a lot of side stuff to do. So that completely took me out. I was like, there's no point in me playing this game anymore because I'm not gaining anything from the side stuff. And a lot of the side stuff in Origins is just busy work. Like it's just fetch quests. So there's no
Oh.
point to it.
That's good to know that they've improved on that then, because like I said, everything has some meaning behind the story and everything, the world. And also, I haven't been, I mean, I'm like level 71 right now. And I think it goes to like 100 something at this point, because like I said, they keep adding stuff to it. So, and then they have something else, a system behind when, like, you'll not run out of, being able to take in XP and use it towards something else or skill points or whatever. They had like a mastery system is what they call it, where you can still put it in on there. So I'm glad to know that those have been improved on here then.
Yeah.
I never played Origins though. I think I was burnt out. I was burnt out after, or I don't know, maybe I like the spot, because I used to like those games. I think when it came out I wasn't really able to. That's probably what happened, and then I moved on. Alrighty, so that is for Odyssey. Ruby has been playing some stuff. One of them being Trials of Mana. Ruby, can you tell us about that?
I mean, I don't know where to start. It's like, I know that Trials of Mana is a remake, and a lot of people love the game, and it has had like really good reviews, you know? I know there's like different versions. There's Secret of Mana, Legend of Mana, Trials of Mana, and whatnot. And I think like the very first one was pretty well done, just for its time, you know, like a JRPG of the 90s. You don't have like voice acting or any of that stuff, and pretty much like turn-based battling. And I guess my expectations were high with this one just because it's a remake, right? And if you're putting your effort to remake it, you have to take into account that this is a different time, that there's maybe some tweaks that you have to do to kind of modernize the game without like essentially losing what makes the game interesting, right? And the addition of the voice acting for me was very off-putting. I don't think they invested a lot on that one. That sounds like one of like the worst JRPGs voice acting of all time. Like it sounds silly, left and right, and that's one of the things that puts me off in like JRPGs in general, like when the voice acting just is bad. And I think that the pacing, like I gave it like maybe around 10 hours almost for the game to get like interesting and whatnot, and the pacing wasn't there for me. It wasn't just doing it, you know, like I was going from one side of the map, like you have a star, you follow it, you keep following. Sometimes you're just going 3 steps ahead to go 3 steps backwards, and for me like this doesn't make logic, like the game design, right? And you know, it's a remake. It's no longer like a dungeon when you just go on a straight line, you know, you're modernizing it. This is for PS4 time, and it's just it doesn't even appeal to me, the fact that it has 6 characters and their stories kind of like interconnect. That was kind of like one of the things that appealed to me at first, but like just with the game design and the battling takes a long time to open up. So you're essentially for hours just like hitting with your staff or your sword, and that's all you're doing, like over and over and over. Like even though some of your characters are supposed to have like magical properties and whatnot, so just the fact that it opens so much later, just to, like for your battle system to like be filling, like it's just not doing it for me. I think this was like, if it just my opinion, maybe this was like a cash grab, like let's make a remake with like the bare bones and let's just do it. But there's a lot of people that loved it, that they loved the original, they played this, and maybe they had good feelings about it, to see it like in better graphics, like more modernized. But I don't think it was a good, maybe it's the fact that I've played like the 7 remake and I got that experience, and then I go to this remake and I'm like, what is this, you know? So very disappointed with that game.
It's unfortunate. And yeah, here says that is more of a port than a remake, so that's probably did they
Yeah.
I wonder if it was, because I don't really know much about it, if it was like tried to be sold as a remake, and then that it was a port, and that might have something to do with that. But I mean, Final Fantasy VII remake, I don't think I think it's kind of unfair uh, to make that comparison there. It's that's not what we see normally. I mean, we have the Resident Evil ones, which are really good as well. So I mean, we're getting there, I guess, in some, but they have to like put that care, and that's not necessarily the case on everyone. I mean, I think that Chrono Cross also was like or said to be a remake, and then it's kind of like a
Kind
port
of more like a
also.
remaster. Yeah, it's more like
Yeah,
a remaster type. Yeah.
No,
but
there's no way that's a remake. I would have done everything much more beautiful. Even though that game was beautiful to begin with for the time, but
Yeah.
nope.
right. And so then
Um,
you played that, and then you decided, okay, no more, and then you moved on from there, and you played I'm not gonna try it. You tell us what you were
I
playing.
think
Isn't it
I
Art Rhythm? I think. Oh no, it's
the other
ATR. Yeah. Okay, at Rhythm.
the other
Something
room.
like that.
is that ad rhythm? It's not theatrum.
The
I'm
other
seeing. Oh,
It
you know
looks
what?
like it's
I'm
rhythm, isn't
looking
it?
at it as two different words. I'm saying the at Rhythm. That's
Oh,
okay.
the other
Okay, so it's.
the
I
other
see it
room.
now. It's a combination of theater and rhythm. So it's
Yeah.
theater rhythm.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. I
Okay,
think
there
it's
we go.
theater rhythm.
My bad, got it.
You're right. Theatrum.
Theater rhythm.
Like
Something
not
like
only
that.
not only is it like not on that language, but also it's not even a rare word.
Yeah, it's not even a real word.
Theatrum. Actually, the simplicity of that game had me like probably playing over 15 hours at this point, and I still haven't finished unlocking all the Final Fantasy songs that they put in there. And there's a little bit of everything for everybody, right? I like that you can customize the sounds, the volume. Like if you want to hear the rhythm, like hit where you need to hit it, you can put it as loud as you can. If you don't want to hear it and you just want to appreciate the music, you can do it while you're playing. The way you unlock, you get 5 series at first. And you can play them in any order. And then it's pretty early on in the quest where you can just like get a treasure chest and you get a key and you can keep unlocking series as you go. So it's very quick, so it doesn't frustrate you and like in the saying like, oh, you have to pretty much almost finish this quest before you can go and unlock the quest that you really want to play, right? Because we all have our favorite Final Fantasy music. And so that was well thought. And then it has like these side setups too, where like you start collecting like music and you have pretty much like your own Spotify of like Final Fantasy songs. So you can just, if you want it, you can just put it and you can just listen to it and you can create your own playlist too. So I was like, okay, this is pretty sweet, you know? And as you unlock the series, they'll give you like a video of all like the cutscenes of the Final Fantasies for you to watch while the song plays and whatnot. So you can also watch it like that. And it's just they just play on the nostalgia, you know, and they do it very well. And again, it's a rhythm game. There's nothing like too complicated about it. It's such a simple concept. It still works. I am under the impression that this version's a little harder than the one that I played originally on 3DS. Because I was like, I know I've been out of practice, but I think I tested it with both like Man in the Machine Gun and Genova, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this in ultimate mode, and they're just adding like, now you instead of like following one track of rhythm, you sometimes follow two, and it's one followed by the second, by the third, by the fourth, so you're just reading 4 lines at the same time. You're like, am I pressing 4 buttons at the same time? Am I pressing 1, 2, 3? In what order? So it's more complicated. And I appreciate that at least as a fan of the original one. And of course, you have all the levels, you control it. So if you just want to do something very basic, you can. You don't have to go like hardcore mode like me. And you have also the battle component of the quest, right? Because like you get, as you unlock series, you unlock the characters and you can level up the characters. And the whole point is that the characters are battling a foe while you're playing the music. And as you fail or miss, you take life damage. And obviously, as they level up, you can assign like magic, right? You can assign Ares to cure you, you know, in certain points, and armor break, and whatever it is. There's physical types, there's healing types, and I don't remember, there are defense types, and I think there's like a fourth one that's like special. And you can at any given point like mix whatever characters. It doesn't have to be with the same series. So there's like that add-on difficulty there where you just feel like you're battling as you're playing the song. So I love it. Best purchase ever. And it's super relaxing after work just to play that and just listen to the music, you know? So I found something very good.
I was just looking it up now, and it looks to be on sale on PlayStation, about 50% off. So I might take that. I just like I hear Final Fantasy music, and then the way
All
you
you
explain
need,
it, I'm like,
that's all you need.
why do I not have this game already? Makes
I
no
bought
sense.
it because of that 50% off. And it's worth it.
Right, so it looks to be on sale until the 15th, and anybody else out there is looking to get it, well recommended by Ruby Cat.
Some breaking news real quick. The Deadpool and Wolverine trailer has broken the record as the trailer debut with most views in 24 hours, breaking No Way Home with 365 million views in 24 hours.
That's the Ryan
cool.
Reynolds effect.
There we go. It's
I think it's the
that's
Hugh
good.
Jackman effect, to be honest. I think even though we didn't see
Oh.
him, I think that's what it is.
Why not both? But yeah, it's probably that makes sense. And it's Jay says it's because it was part of the Super Bowl commercial as well.
Yeah,
Makes
that's part of it. That's part of it. Obviously, this is the most watched thing in TV.
All right then. So Manuel, you have been playing.
Wait, there's something else that
Oh.
Ruby Cat needs to talk about and she hasn't talked about,
Oh.
which is Alan Wake 2. Like we have to hear her on record. She finished Alan Wake 2. Only
I
one of
forgot
the
that.
greatest games of all time. We have to at least talk about it.
That's
Yes.
true.
True.
And I didn't mention that I played Control for a little bit too.
Oh,
my
you
God.
played Control for a little bit. So yeah, even though we did talk about it between us, I still want to hear your thoughts. Like how awesome was Alan Wake 2 for you?
It was amazing. It blew my mind, honestly. I did not expect this game to be that good. And I think that by the halfway of the game, I kind of got used to the horror a lot. Like I was a little more brave, like because like what I noticed is this is like not like a raw horror, you know, it's psychological, you know,
Yeah.
it's just interesting. I like that they can do this without getting too gory, you know. And just like the ending of it all and how, you know, the phrases. I remember the first one. It's like it's not. What was it? It's an ocean.
It's not a lake, it's an ocean.
It's
That was
not
the
a
first
lake.
one.
It's an ocean, and now it's like it's a spiral. And they
Yeah, it's
finish
not-
with like they
It's not a
always
circle,
finish
it's
with
a
a.
spiral.
It's not a circle. It's a spiral. They always finish with like some kind of sentence, and it just
Mm-hmm.
it's so simple, but it makes you think, what do you mean by that? It's an
Yeah.
ocean. What do you mean by that?
like
It's a
that.
spiral. And now the spiral is even worse because you're kind of like trying to connect the
Yeah.
dots of like the timeline and how everything happened in order, and everything's like kind of messy, and you're like, maybe that's a spiral. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I like about this one is for a few reasons, right? Because to me, the lake and the ocean thing, like I didn't understand it. I was like, what do you mean it's an ocean? What does that even mean? Right. And since they never gave us a sequel for so many years, we're like, we're never gonna find out. And they touch on that in this game. They're like at the beginning of the game, they're like, oh, we're finally gonna find out what that means, right? And then they hit us with the spiral with this, not a circle, it's a spiral. What I like is that at least it makes sense in this game. Like you get it. Oh, it means at the very least, to me, the way I understand it, I don't know if you understand it like this. Like a circle to me is like, oh, there's no way out of this. You're gonna keep going back and
It's
forth,
a
back and
loop.
forth. It's a loop, right? And since it's a spiral, that means there's a way out somehow, right? So that gives me hope that whenever we get Alan Wake 3, it's gonna be an actual conclusion. Like there is a way out of this. That we can finish this story. So that I really enjoyed that ending.
Which kind of makes me think, it's like there's a lot of symbolism because there's spirals in some of the doors, right? Like a
Yeah.
spiral drawn to it. So you're kind of like, oh, okay, is this part of the spiral? But then I play Control and kind of ruined me too. Because I already play a scene where there's a bunch of doors with different like objects or like
Symbols, yeah.
drawing symbols, and I'm here like, okay, so you just only mentioned the spiral, well, there's like 7 different symbols here, so they
Yeah,
have
that-
a lot to go on.
I think it's called the Lakeview Motel. Like I think that's what it's called, something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's very dominant in Control. So when you reach that point in Alan Wake, to me, like I'm getting chills just imagining it because like remembering it because I was like, oh, we're here. Like this is the Lakeview Motel. Like this is so awesome. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you. If you play it the way you play it, you don't realize it's not just a spiral. There's a pyramid. There's this. There's a bunch of other stuff too. Like we don't even know what it
Uh,
means.
I like everything that's like so cryptic, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense if you like
Yeah.
you're really paying attention or you replay it. You can make theories, and I like the type of game where you can make your theories. There's evidence for those theories, and it's like nobody's wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
kind of like the type of game that it is.
I think as an outsider, hearing you guys talk about that specifically, and we were talking about the circle and then the spiral, and it's like I wonder if it seems meta, and I wonder if it was accidental in the sense of the circle, for example, and the way you mentioned is like, yeah, there's no way out. And we're like, okay, well, this game, Alan Wake 1, was made not able to make that sequel, get kind of stuck on that, and then they're able to get out, which is like also what you mentioned, and made this sequel. I was like, was that accidentally meta there?
Considering how meta this game is, I think it probably is. There's some intention there, like because this game is so meta, like on so many levels. Like it's mind blowing if you start thinking about everything. So I wouldn't disagree with you there. I think that might be intentional. And if it is a coincidence, it's a pretty awesome coincidence.
There's
That
always
fits.
so much content in the game too. Like it's like again the mechanic of like rewriting like what you're doing and like going over and over. Like you think you're playing the same game over and over, but no, it's like a new thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really good, honestly. I don't know what to say now. You said that I had to play Control before Alan Wake, and now I'm doing it the other way, and I'm still kind of like over the moon
Yeah.
because like one of the scenes of Alan Wake 2, if you remember the TV that turns on and Alan like Zane
Yeah.
is kind of like they're watching us. Oh my god! And then I play Control. I'm like, wait, isn't that the same chick I'm controlling just now? Like the
Yeah.
hero of this story? What was she doing there? Like,
Yeah, there's a bunch of references. The reason I recommend Control first, obviously, because Alan Wake was made after, so it builds into that universe. So it fits a little bit better. So when you go to Alan Wake 2, having played Control, you're like, okay, for example, there's a section, I don't know if you paid too much attention, but like when you find Chief, whatever his name is, Chief Breaker, I think it is.
yeah,
Whenever you find him and he has the board and he's doing his theories and stuff like that. If you look at the board, at some point he mentions a woman in red with red hair. He's like, "Who is this woman with red hair? I think I know her. Is she bad? Is she after me or whatever?" Who is that woman when you play Alan Wake 2? You have no idea what he's talking about. But obviously, it's Control character. Like it's the protagonist of Control. So she's still there. So she's the director now. So it's stuff like that. So when you see Ati, for example, for the first time in Alan Wake 2, most people get there like, who is this janitor? Like, what's the point? But if you play
but
Control first,
I
you're like,
got
oh,
that
this is
way.
Ati. You're like, this is Ati. That's awesome.
But I play Control now. In the first scene, you meet Ati
Yeah.
first. I was like, that's Ati. So I got the same reaction. That's my point. I think if you do it the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
way,
You're
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 still
right.
gonna get the reaction.
You're gonna get some sort of reaction, which
And
is cool.
I and right now, like Control, like deep dives into like those worlds and like all this terminology and
Hmm.
objects and whatnot. And Alan Wake 2 doesn't just mention us here on
Yeah.
paper, here and there, but it doesn't tell you anything else. And I've been wondering, but what does this mean? And now I'm playing Control and now I'm understanding what that means. So the other
Yeah.
way around works.
Yeah, it does work because that's the point of the character, the main character in Alan Wake 2. That's why I showed you guys like if you play Control, you appreciate certain things more first. But you don't have to because the main character in Alan Wake 2 is like you and me, that she doesn't know anything. So whenever something, what the heck is an object of power? Who is this person? Like she doesn't understand anything, just like you don't understand anything. So that's what's cool about Alan Wake 2 is meant to be that way. And then you play Control, and yeah, you start understanding a bunch of stuff. The only thing, it's a shame Control doesn't have a good ending, which is the only thing that I say. Like it's a shame they don't hit the landing, they don't stick the landing. But if you keep playing without any spoilers, I'm just gonna say there is a We Sing version of that in Control. Like there's something similar like We Sing, and it's like
Uh,
the OG We Sing, I guess you could call it that way. It was in Control originally.
it cannot beat the wheezing that I know.
So yeah, so that's awesome. I'm glad that you really, really enjoyed that game.
And the ending to me was perfect. I've read about the alternative. I was kind of like, meh.
Ruins it. I think it ruins the ending. I don't know why
Yeah.
they did that. The new game plus, like the mystery, that's what makes you so intrigued. And the fact that they basically and ruined it, I don't know why they did that. New game plus, I don't think is canon anyway, right? Like I'm hoping they say that's not canon. That's not the way it actually ended. Because if that's
Yeah,
canon, like what are we looking forward to then in the next one? If they already
yeah,
told us.
nothing. It has to be the original ending.
Yeah. And then this guy, the last thing I want to say, the I don't the actor that does Mr. Door. Like I'm looking forward to him in the next game because he's obviously gonna
Oh,
be.
he
He
was
did an
amazing.
incredible job, right? Like he did the funny, entertaining talk show host, but then when he got serious and he got kind of scary,
He
intimidating,
got
and
scary.
like
Yeah.
he's awesome, like very underrated. And I don't think he won or was nominated for anything in the Game Awards. He was nominated here, of course. But
Yeah.
All right, I have to.
Now I'm
That's
done.
one that I have to. I have to find the time for and do. Uh, but
yeah.
Manuel, you have been playing something. Just the only thing you said that you have been playing, and I'm very happy that you are playing that. That's Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
What did you tell us about that?
So real quick, I don't think we ever talked about that. I did finish Prince of Persia just real quick. I just want to say Prince of Persia, not for me. It was fine. I can see why people love it. I decided not to do the platinum. I deleted it already. Final Fantasy VII, I've been playing it. That's the only thing that I've been playing. So yeah, the interesting thing for me is the fact that I actually played this game. I've played. It's not like this is not the first time I played this game. I played this game a few years ago, but I don't remember anything like at all. Like that's the reason why I'm replaying it because I don't remember any of the story. I don't know how this game actually ends. I don't remember the individual backstories. So I'm very much enjoying myself rediscovering all this stuff almost for the first time and trying to enjoy the sadly I've had a bunch of bugs and stuff like that have kind of taken me out of the experience. But nothing truly game breaking. It just takes me out of it here and now and then. So right now, the last thing I played was I basically started what would be this too. So I started playing that section, and that's where I left it off. I don't know how many hours left I got in the story. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying my time. I grinded a little bit here and there to do certain things. Like for example, I did the Yuffie thing, which I did it accidentally, but when I got to the pagoda or whatever, I got to the final to her father, and I just could not beat it for the life of me. So I decided to grind out for a bit, and I raised her up, and I got another weapon for her, and stuff like that. I went back and I beat it. But outside of that, I'm just playing it normal. I'm like in level 42 or 43 for Cloud, and I don't think I'm gonna be doing the platinum, just because I looked at the trophies and it just doesn't seem something that we'll see when I end how what the percentage is. That might change my mind. But what the trophies that I saw don't seem like particularly fun trophies, so I don't think I'll be doing that one. But I'm still enjoying the game.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. You had. I don't think it's a hot take. What you brought up earlier in the chat about Ares. I don't think that's. I mean, maybe back in the day, that's like you mentioned when you filled it. Just tell us what you said. This is what you said first. And then...
Here's my thing. It's a few things, but what I told you guys was that I don't think Final Fantasy VII, the original, does a good enough job of making me care for Eris. And it's mainly is because that whole relationship is voluntary. Like you decide how much time you're gonna spend with her. And personally, I haven't chosen to spend much time with her. So when it tries to hit you with those emotional beats towards the end, and they're saying like, there's potential for you to be together. Kate Sith, tells you that that you're compatible, and like I don't even know this character. Like I don't even know who she is. I don't have any emotional affinity for her. But obviously, it is an older game. It is 97. So back then, you as a player, especially as a child, you would fill in these holes basically. Like you would fill in these things in your mind. So I can see how in your mind this relationship was more than it actually is. But playing it as an adult, there's really nothing there. Like it's very, very superficial for me. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm saying it's fate. That's why. It's
Yeah,
meant
I
to be.
guess.
That's like the
Um,
mystery.
and
The
the thing
world is
about it
telling you.
is that I like what I find strange to me, and maybe I'll feel differently towards the end. What I find strange is how they push so hard on the Tifa thing. Like if it feels like they're pushing more on the Tifa thing than they are on the Ares thing. Like Tifa's clearly in love with you, and or at least that's what it seems to me in so far. And you guys have a history together, and you made a promise to her supposedly, and all this stuff. Like that connection feels more natural to me than the Ares thing. Like I have no reason to when Ares becomes part of your team and you start choosing your three people, I have no reason to pick Eris over Tifa. Like at any point in my mind, in my head canon, me, Tifa, and Barrett, we're the three, right? Why would I pick this stranger over any of them? So, but having said that, the famous death scene still hits. Like I still felt it. The emotional beat was there. The music was awesome. And like you, and I can't wait to see people's reactions that don't know this in Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Rebirth, if they do it now in Rebirth, because I
Oh,
was
fuck.
imagining it. I'm like, the way they do it is like, if you're not expecting it, you're like, it's a tense moment. Cloud is about to kill her, and you're like, what's going on? Like, if you wouldn't know, like, you would be like, what's going on? Oh, they stopped them. Oh, she's safe. It's good. And then here comes Sephiroth. Like, I can't wait to see people's reactions emotionally, even though there's very few people that actually know that don't know that happened. I still can't wait for that scene and see how they do it. If they make it even better, like, that's gonna be awesome.
And then at
I
the
can't
like
wait for
just
Barrett too.
what's that?
No, I can't wait for Barrett's backstory too. Like I can't wait to see if how they develop that in Rebirth and stuff.
And then the other thing too, like you mentioned that death scene, it was just like just getting thrust into the battle with Genova too, right? Like right after with
Yeah.
with Ares music playing, not the normal battle music or boss music. And it's just like you don't have a second to like hey, this just happened, just like you gotta fight. And how that is representing sometimes in life where something happens, you really don't have the spot to take a breather, think about it or whatever, and you just gotta keep going. I think that was really well done, especially for a game that's so old, like you mentioned, too.
Yeah.
The other thing about that, when you're talking about how it kind of like pushes Tifa on you, I was thinking about that recently because I was on the same mindset before. It was like, well, they're childhood friends, this and that. But then when you know the story, and they go about Cloud and how it was when they were kids and stuff like that, and he's not really a part of the group that she hangs out with and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then he's like, yeah, like I think he's like tries to impress her, which is why he's like, yeah, I'm going and I'm gonna be soldier and I'm gonna do this. And I don't know when that shift, if it happened, but I think the scenes that I thought originally that were pushing on her being into him or whatnot, now I think about, for example, in the Rebirth demo. I don't know if you played it. I don't think you said you weren't gonna play it. But it has the Cloud telling the Nibelheim incident and whatnot, which is like what happens after Mega in the original. So you went through it on your game. Uh, she's kind of like, when he says stuff, and she's kind of like what is he talking about? He's not supposed to know this. He wasn't there. She doesn't
Yeah.
know that he was actually there until later on. So it's kind of like a thing where I think those scenes that portrayed her thinking that way were the ones that felt like she was kind of like shoved into that position, if that makes any sense. So now, as I think about it more, I'm like, is that really what it was like? And by the end of the game, that's a thing, and there's no doubt. By the end of the original game, that's a thing. I don't know if it was always a thing from the beginning, though.
Yeah. To me, the way I see it, like, it's more like I guess it's an idealized version. Like she has this idealized version of what their relationship is, and you make that up in your mind as well. But it isn't reality, right? So the idealized version is what makes her kind of feel like she has feelings for him, stuff like that. Cloud is not into her, not even in the slightest. Like that there's no doubt about that. But still,
I also
That's
that's
not
how I
into
can see it.
anybody.
no, and speaking of like what you're just saying, like I always interpreted like I made it all the connections backwards. Like the reason why Ares is so important, or maybe there's like some romance, is not only because of the whole sack thing, but because like if Cloud, what he remembers, like he was never part of the club, and Tifa
Hmm.
wasn't really like with him as kids, and he wanted to impress her, and he was like an outsider. and he meets this girl who's like very open right from the get-go and makes him feel safe or welcome, which, you know, he's also a loner, not part of the group, not part of Avalanche, not part of this. He's just a mercenary, and this is like the only person that welcomes him.
Mhm.
So I think that to me makes that relationship more meaningful when I see it backwards.
Yeah. And also Cloud can be pretty much of an a-hole in this game if you want him to. And I don't
Yeah.
like that, right? I don't like that either. Like the choices are, yeah, I'll help. Screw you. I'm like, why would you choose screw you? Like, you know, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's
Just
just
like
funny.
that, we're
That's
really
just
just like opposite spectrum. Like there's no
yeah.
really in between. Like, yeah, I don't really want to help, but I'll help, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, we can solve this one way. The best girl is Barret. That's the best girl.
I like Barrett, man. I really enjoy his character, and I like the way they developed him in Rebirth. I mean, in remake, much better than they did in the original. But yeah, his so far his story is my favorite. The Red 13 thing, I don't see like I liked it, but I didn't quite understand it. Like I didn't quite understand how this statue was actually fighting. I don't understand. I thought it was more like mythological or something like that. Like it wasn't really happening, but then he cried the tears. So I'm confused about the whole Red 13. I don't really understand that backstory. What's the other backstory they gave you? The Kate Sith thing is the music went off for me when the original Kate Sith dies. So that moment was kind of ruined for me. I just was watching a silent screen of his death and stuff like that. So that kind of ruined it for me. And the other backstory, I
What
think I
kind of
believe it
ruined it for me
recently.
was the fact that they just had one right after. It's just making this sad
Yeah,
sacrifice, and
yeah.
they just brought it again. Like, okay, what are we?
And to me, it's meaningless because they already established like it's not even a real person. I guess it's a puppet, so it's not. It's kind of meaningless anyway. And also, they kind of had there's kind of a what's that called? Like when there's a hole in the story, what's that called?
Blood hole?
Like a plot hole. There's a small plot hole in the fact that it's Tifa and, or is it's Tifa, right? Yeah, it's Tifa and Cloud that go on that date. At least in my thing, they go on a date night or whatever, and that's when they discover Kate Sith is a spy or whatever. But they don't tell anybody else. Like nobody knows. They're basically being manipulated. But then when that thing happens, Kate Sith is in front of everybody, being like, yeah, thank you for accepting me, even though you know I was a spy and stuff. Like this must be news to whoever, like Eris and whoever else is hearing, because nobody
Wait,
else
you're a
knows that.
what? Hold up.
So that's a small plot hole. I'm very much interested because I don't, like I told you guys, I don't really know the full story. I'm very much like I'm still trying to. I can remember glimpses here and there. Like I get kind of what's going on, but I don't really know what it is going on. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out, how they explain the whole change and the lack of memory and Sephiroth's, immediate change from being one thing to another. Like I'm enjoying it so far. It's a good ride.
Yeah, because it's like when we spoke about earlier. It's like that now they're like, obviously back then we had to fill in the holes. This is a different time now. They have to do a good job of explaining these things.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of wish that I wouldn't have played it, to be honest, because I'm seeing these moments that are like they're pretty cool, and I didn't remember them. It would have been interesting to see to see them play out this time without any knowledge. But still, I'm still gonna enjoy it. But I kind of think it might have been better to not play it to start from scratch.
I'm just glad you're enjoying it though.
Yeah.
Has playing? I got two questions actually for you. First off, is when you're talking about earlier about Eris and how you didn't feel that it was brought in right, the fact that she's all this or whatever to Cloud or
Yeah.
whatnot. Did do you think it was done any better in remake at all?
See, no, it's difficult because I remember when I played remake, and I was all in for Tifa. I was like, yeah, I'm in for Tifa. I don't care about Eris. Once again, I was feeling that way. And then as soon as we got to the Eris scene and the music hit, it gave me nostalgia. So I started viewing their relationship through the lens of what I thought their relationship was in my mind. So I can't really tell you objectively if they did it better. I felt more of a connection with Eris in remake, but it's more because I think I was viewing it through that lens of nostalgia. But now playing the original again, I'm like, it's not the way I remember it that it was.
Gotcha. And then the second question I have is, so you mentioned obviously maybe you shouldn't have played it because Rebirth is coming up and whatnot, but has it changed any hype or any interest that you have towards remake while playing it?
No, I still don't see what you guys see in the sense of So that's why I have to play remake again to see if I notice those things that you guys notice. Oh, the reason why I decided to play 7, the original, is because when I played remake, I don't have much memory of the original, so I can't see the changes that they're making. So when you guys are speculating about, are they gonna change this? Is this a different timeline? Are they like all this stuff that you guys speculate? I feel
No,
lost
Luis is
because I don't,
speculating, not you
yeah.
guys.
I don't get it. So to answer your question, the answer is no. But I think when I finish this and I have it fresh on my mind, hopefully I'm able to finish Crisis Core and then go back to remake. I'm gonna be able to appreciate things more and that will change my view of my hype for Rebirth at that point.
And
If I manage to finish that out, right? If I manage to do that.
and it's funny that you brought that up because I was thinking also about that. I was like, yeah, I suggest you at least looking it up, recap or whatnot. But I think, when we talked about a couple of podcasts back about what specifically that scene towards the end and whatnot. I was like, it hits the way it hits because of everything that's happened up to that point. It's still like if you watch it, you'd still, if it's a recap and you're like, okay, this is what he's about, this and that. Towards the end, you're gonna have feelings towards it. That's not gonna hit as strong because, like I said, the mechanics of the game, the way that the mechanics of the game are used, for that scene particularly, it's some of the best stuff that I've seen done. So I would love for you to be able to experience that as well, but I don't know how realistic that might be.
Yeah, I mean, right now I have nothing that's competing for my time. So basically, it's like I can only play one thing at a time now. From here, as long as I'm working 2 jobs, it's not like before. Like I can only play one game at a time. So right now it's Final Fantasy VII, and nothing else is competing for that. I don't see anything on the horizon that's going to take me away from Final Fantasy Crisis Core, and then 7 Remake. The only thing that would take me away is that I don't enjoy it, right? The fact that I might not enjoy it. So we'll see about that. But at least right now, nothing's competing for my time. So most likely, it's looking good to play those games. If I were to ever to watch something, it wouldn't be a recap. Like I would just watch a playthrough, like an entire playthrough of the game. That's what I would do. I think I would appreciate it more like that.
That one will work because then, I mean, it depends. Like if it's a story playthrough only, that might be the best way to go about it because the missions that's like the side stuff, it's unnecessary completely, and it's the pacing is gonna throw you off when it comes. Like if you could just run through the story of the game, that would be preferable. But maybe you need to do missions here and there to get improve yourself and whatnot. But that does take it out because it's a product of this time. It's a product of the fact that it's a handheld where you'd probably be somewhere with time to kill and not necessarily move the play forward. So that's the only thing that I would say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play it on the Switch because I hate the Switch. That's gonna ruin my experience with it. And also I don't play anywhere but home, so I would just play it on the TV anyway. So yeah, that's gonna be the way that I do it regardless. We'll see if I get adjusted to it because it did happen to me with Peace Walker. Like I was able to play Peace Walker, but Peace Walker was so much a PSP game, and playing it on my big screen and stuff like that, like it just didn't hit the same way. I eventually did watch the playthrough to appreciate the story. So something similar might happen. We'll see. Like right now, it has my interest, which is what I told you. I was like, if Final Fantasy VII OG manages to capture my interest, I'll do this entire thing. And right now, it does have my interest. Like it's done that at least.
All right, Final Fantasy 9 next.
Yeah, we'll doubt that. I doubt that. I doubt that. I just can't beat these games, man. Like I can't beat these games. That I in Final Fantasy IX is definitely one of those types of Final Fantasies that I can't beat. Right? 10, I got pretty far, but I still don't feel confident in beating 10. Like if I would have kept playing, I didn't feel good enough in that game. I don't get them. Like for example, Final Fantasy 7. The good thing about Final Fantasy 7 is that you can just level up and beat the game. It has other mechanics, materia and stuff like that, but you don't really need to delve into that to beat the game. So I can beat it. But when I start looking up mechanics, when I start looking up tips for certain bosses, like for example, Tifa's father, like I was stuck on him. I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to do with this boss? Like, am I missing something? So I looked up strategies online. Everybody has a different strategy or whatever, but most of them concern, oh, go fight this enemy, steal that power, and then combine it with all materia and then level it up. That way you have this new ability and use that against. I'm like, I don't have time for all that. Like, not only do I not have time for all that, where are you guys getting this information from, right? Like, how do you figure this stuff out? My mind doesn't work for these types of games. I can't figure out the mechanics in these types of games. And that's why I'm not good at them. I literally cannot. I don't know why, but I don't have the ability to figure these things out in these games. To me, it is a block that stops me from beating Final Fantasy games. So 9 is one of those games. I don't think that I'd be able to beat it. If it has an ability, like you said, to just like God mode or something like that every now and again, then I'll consider it there. But if not, then no, I don't think I'd do that.
Yeah,
I
it does
found
have.
also I found Vincent as well in this game. I don't know if that's optional or not, but I found Vincent as well. And I was surprised that he's actually like a vampire. Like I said that in the trivia because in my mind he's a vampire. But then when I see him here in the coffin, like this dude's literally a vampire. Like I was laughing. I
Vampires
didn't
are
know that. I
cool.
didn't realize that.
Or they were in
I didn't realize that.
1997 at least.
Yeah. And I know it's not a good game, but it made me want to kind of play also Dirge of Cerberus because of that, like to see more of
Oh
him
wow,
and his character.
that's definitely not gonna go well. All right.
That's all I've been playing.
So then,
What's Queen's Blood? Is Queen's Blood Destiny? Is that Destiny?
it's Queen's Blood is the new card game that's gonna be on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh, see, I see. Man, I wish I was like you, Jay, like to like those mini games. I do not like enjoy those mini games at all.
Yeah, on the 8, the card game on 8 was pretty fun. They ruined it in 9, but on 8 it was fun. All right, so then you played the OG, and Ruby Cat and myself played the demo as soon as it came out, basically. We have been talking about it nonstop, I feel like, and with good reason, but not live. So Ruby Cat, what do you get us started? Tell us how you felt about what we saw
Oh,
here.
real quick, are you guys gonna talk details about the demo? Because I kind of want to bounce out if you're gonna that way you guys can talk freely about the demo. I kind of don't want any story spoilers considering that I can't remember the story for Fantasy 7.
Oh, it's just well, the demo. Okay, so the demo is
And I
just
don't want to ruin your experience either. Like I want you
no.
guys to just talk about it.
I
freely.
just the demo is the basically when Cloud is telling them the story of what happened back in Nibelheim. Yeah, that's
All right.
like yeah. So it's not really anything too crazy there story wise that we
Storyline, there's
haven't
nothing
just
new.
run through. Yeah. Ruby Cat,
I guess
what did you think about
you
it?
didn't think so. Oh, for
Oh.
me, like I thought it was a pretty good demo, you know. I think that I am so excited for the game and I'm so positive about it that if there was any like bad things about it, I totally missed it because of the hype that I was feeling. It was so great to see like the little details of like how Cloud is telling his story, and then like if you play the original or if you play like Crisis Core, then you start questioning your own reality because you're like, wait, that didn't happen that way. But do I remember correctly from the original and from Crisis Core? Like you feel like you're trying to connect like 3 different versions of this, you know, like how it happened, and I thought that was pretty cool, just making you think about it. I think like just not to spoil it to people, but like the body animation, the voicing, the expressions of Cloud during that like time were priceless, you know. I think they did a pretty good job to kind of like hint you towards what's going on without actually really like legit telling you what's going on, which I think like having that mystery is good for new players, but if you know, you know. So I think it was wonderful made. It was good to see it animated. I think like gameplay wise, there were some parts where I felt like they prolonged it just for the sake of prolonging it, like for you to kind of like, I don't know, explore. But I was kind of like, what is there to explore there? Like the whole point is like Cloud left that village because not only he wanted to impress Tifa, but it's lame. It's a lame village, you know? You know what I mean? But at the same time, there was at the beginning like the whole like, oh, but this is beautiful because it's in mountains, but then it's not that beautiful, and I think it's because Shinra and Mako and everything that's going on. But the point here is I really like the details, and the animation of the flames when everything's going on in flames literally, and you see Sephiroth, and like you're trying to kind of like get up and move, like the intensity of those moments, like they knew what they were doing, like they knew where to put like the right intensity, the right music, the right everything. So I think that at least the demo felt at times that they did it for hardcore fans, like as a tribute, so to speak. That's it.
All right. Let me see, Manu can. Are you still?
I'm
Have
here.
you?
I'm here.
Oh, I thought. Yeah, I thought you had
No, I'm
actually had your stuff. Okay, good.
No.
I'm the so Rubicat nailed it right there. I'm not having anything to add to that specifically. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to that elephant in the room things. That section that you're talking about where it's loaded down, I didn't like that decision at all. Like, I'm not gonna give him a pass because it's Final Fantasy VII. Uh, the way that the way that the game looks, I'm hopeful that it's gonna not look like that because it's an older build or whatnot. But it is a valid concern. I think fans are just trying to shut everybody up about it. If this demo looks worse than the game that came before it, that could be a problem, and that is the case. I don't, like I said, it could possibly be that it's gonna look much sharper when it does come out. That's that it's not the first demo to do that, but it is a valid concern.
And that doesn't even make any sense unless it's the fact that it's open world, and they maybe that take. I mean, not open world, but it's more open than the first one. Like, I don't understand how the graphics could get worse 4 years later, especially if it's running on the same engine and stuff like that.
Let's see, because I know Luis said I want to talk about something that Luis said, because he said that he was hype about it. He thinks that they made a phenomenal decision to start the game with that portion of the story, and I agree. I mean, if it's following obviously OG, and that's what happens right after Midgar. But I think cutting it there was the right decision. I mean, if we're not gonna get the full game, which is what we would have rather have, I think it's a good spot to cut it. Same deal with when they're gonna cut it on the next one. But the other thing that I did want to say, which is a positive, is they're giving more. Well, a positive for those of us that actually want more, because some of us may be holding out by just to wait for the game. It's right there. There's nothing wrong with that either. But they're gonna add a second portion of the demo shortly with it. Well, that's like maybe like a week before. They also, I think the embargo is gonna be like a week before. So that tells me that they're confident in what they're putting out. That's pretty cool. But I mean, I enjoyed it. Even before I got to play the demo, and we were talking about it here live, and I talked to you guys about it. I'm like, I don't know what it is that Switch, because I was like, yeah, well, obviously I'm gonna play it. It's Final Fantasy VII. I don't know what it is that Switch, when we were watching the presentation, that it just grabbed me by the nostalgia, and again, I'm like, oh my god, why is this game not out? Like, I need this now, kind of deal. Like, it's really like that. And I was talking to you guys about it too. I'm like, yeah, we're obviously gonna talk about, how we feel about it in general when it comes out. But I'd like to not talk about story stuff and whatnot, because we may be at different points in the game, and the reason why is like this game means a lot to me, that in a way that no others do. And I want to be able to experience that, and obviously I want to share it with you guys. You're my friends as much as possible. But when the time is right.
Yeah, we need some time when that game comes out. Obviously, I highly doubt that I'm gonna be in it day one or anything like that with you guys. But definitely, we need some time to like just enjoy the game on our own without talking pretty much anything about it, because I think it does affect kind of your view of the game. Like when somebody hypes it up, or like, oh, this part I didn't like or whatever. So that's gonna be an interesting one. The only thing that's gonna make me kind of play it earlier than I would is the fact that it's impossible to avoid spoilers when it comes out. Like, it's gonna be pretty much difficult to avoid spoilers. And if they do something significant in this game, I don't want to hear about it, right? So that's gonna be difficult.
That's the bad part about the time that we live in, man. You can't go anywhere without just seeing something, because they'll put it like, if you don't want to see something specific, they will put it on the like titles of the
title.
things. Like, what? No, that's not okay. Ruin
Yeah,
something
now
like
on
important
YouTube, it
for
does this
someone.
thing where even if you don't watch the video, it has the title, it has all that stuff, and immediately under the video is the first comment. Under like you're seeing comments even though I'm not even clicking on the video. Like that's ridiculous. So it's impossible.
It's unfortunate.
Well, we'll see. I made it a year without hearing anything about Final Fantasy VII Remake, so we'll see about Rebirth.
Did you start playing a year after?
Yeah, I played it like a year after.
Because I remember it's just like you just get. I think when you beat it, and then you're like, so I've been playing this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I wanted to. My idea was to do the whole thing, do a platinum and everything, and then tell you guys about it. But that didn't pan out, and I don't plan on doing the platinum either on my second playthrough. I just want to enjoy the game. I just want to enjoy the story and stuff like that.
That's very valid. I think that's all we have for tonight. So thank you everyone for coming out. Jay, Luis, everyone on the chat, everybody watching that's not on the chat. Thank you for being with us tonight, and let us know what you think about the topics tonight, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, everything else. How excited are you for the game? And we'll see you next time.